That's not it. Check, check, check. All right, we'll just see how this is working. Getting a little bit of latency. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Get a few minutes, give it a few more people to get on. If you guys can hear me, let me know. Or if you can't hear me, let me know. Just put it in the chat for me. I've got a QR code up on the screen. If you are a new Evoto user, you can use that code to get 50 free credits. If you're an existing user, let me know. You can send me an email, gregorykphoto@gmail.com. It should be in my bio as well, and I can contact my rep, and they can see about getting you those free, those 50 extra credits, okay? But if you're a new user, use the link in the description. Use the QR code to get 50 free credits. Download Evoto, and try it out. You got nothing to lose. So I've got getting a few errors up on the screen. So looks like we've got a few people on. So while we're waiting, I'll introduce myself in case you guys don't know me. I go by on Instagram, Gregory K Portraits. Same on YouTube, Gregory K Portraits. Been a photographer for going on about 7 years now. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. I work in portrait, fashion, and commercial photography. So like a lot of you, I've spent the last 7 years just figuring out what in the heck I'm doing, right? I've been using Evoto AI for just over probably 2 years now. There's, if you can see on the screen, there's usually, I will go into, there's usually, if you zoom in, you can see there's a watermark on this particular portrait, and it also says buy now in the corner. And I had someone argue with me about that. It was a point of contention that they claimed that this was a demo version, and how could I have been using it for 2 years? Well, I've been using it for 2 years. I don't think there is a demo version. You log in, you download it, you get what you get, and you can drive it, and then when you export it, your edits, that's when you use the credits. So the watermark is going to be there until you export it and use up a credit. It removes the watermark. You get a full quality export. Depending on your settings in the export window, you have lots of settings that you can choose from. The buy now is always going to be there. I can go to hit that button, and let me switch over to the browser window. I'm going to bring Evoto down, so you should see it. It'll take you to your settings, and you can see what you've used your credits on. So these are my settings. It'll tell you the date and what you used them on. This is interesting right here. I exported 505, but I didn't get, there was no cost to it. I didn't get hit with credits. Why is that? I'll go into that. If I want to export like proofs for clients, which a lot of people do, we'll put up a gallery. I'll go over that later. I'll export out, and there's a way to do that, to just export the shots, JPEG, no edits, and you don't take a credit hit, okay? But this will go through, and it'll tell you, you know, your history and your usage details. I think yeah, you can go in and look by date. So in case you're wondering, and I always wonder this when people are promoting a product, do they actually really use the product? I'm like, did they just get paid, you know, to use this product, and can I believe them? You know, do they really use it, or are they just getting paid to tell me a line of bull, right? So I'm going to actually put the date up here, 2023. We can put in a date range. This is my history of using credits. And it doesn't go back before September. I was using it back probably in July of 2023. If you look at my YouTube account, I have an Evoto playlist, and the very first video I have on there was talking about how Evoto was a game changer. That was back, I think it was July, but it was 2023. I can do a search here, and we'll do 100 per page. Tells me I'm using, I do a lot of onesies, twosies, where I'll go out and I'll do like a set of photos that I export, and I'll use some credits, and then I'll say, oh, well, let me get this other one and this other one. That's why you see a lot of these ones. Here's one where I exported out proofs, probably, and I didn't take a credit hit there. So I can go down, let's go all the way. I got 10 pages of this stuff of credits that I've used, paid my own money, okay? If you look down here, 2023 9/15 Felicia was the first, as far as September anyway, that was logged. So I'm not a shill. I've been using it for 2 years religiously. So when I tell you it's a great product, it's coming from a place of someone that's actually used the product for a good amount of time. Okay. So speaking of Felicia, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to check the comments every now and then. Let me look at the stream. Again, I'll go back to this QR code is for 50 free credits. I'm not going to leave it up for the whole stream, because last time I did this, there was some shady people out there doing some weird things with the QR code. I don't know how you would do that, but they did. So 50 free credits if you're a new Evoto user. If you're not a new Evoto user, let me know. Send me an email, gregorykphoto@gmail.com. It's in my bio. And I can arrange to get you those credits, okay? So get the QR code now. I'll give you a second. Look in the description. There will be a link as well to go download Evoto. Use my code GKP25. That's listed up here on the screen. That'll make sure that you get the benefit, okay? So get the QR code. I'm going to pull it off now. I'll put it back on later. What I'm going to go about today is we'll go through Evoto AI. I've got a little cue sheet here. I wrote it down. I'm old school. First of all, and I almost forgot this, I told you a little bit about me, portrait photographer from San Antonio. I do a lot of portrait, fashion, and commercial. Been doing it for about 7 years now. Okay. I want to go ahead and thank Evoto. They are sponsoring this video, and in particular, Carlos. Hopefully, I said your name right. She's very sweet, and she's been very patient with me getting all this together. Okay. Carla, hello from Houston. Can you guys hear? I'm seeing that the volume is low, so I'm going to raise it up a little bit. It says on here that I've got it to the max, so maybe I'll reset my inputs. Okay. Give me a sec, guys. Tell me if that's any better. It looks like I'm hitting in the yellow on my meters. So let me know if that's any better. I'd appreciate you guys letting me know. So I brought it up just a little bit more. I'll try to talk closer into the mic as well for you guys. If it's still too low, let me know, and I can try a different microphone. And I've got a couple people telling me that. So, Nick, it's probably not your system. So I am pretty good at Evoto. I'm not very experienced in doing live streams. Okay, guys, so just bear with me. I'm using Streamlabs. I've used it once before, but this is only the second time I've done this. So if someone will put in the chat if the volume's a little bit better now, hopefully it is. It's like pegging the meters on my end, so hopefully it's not getting distorted. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to go through, I'm not getting any feedback on the volume, so I'm just going to continue. I'll look at the chat. Things I'm going to go over today, obviously, Evoto AI. I'm going to talk about some real-world examples, how I use it in my workflow. Most of you, if you're new to Evoto, you probably have something that you've been using to edit with. A lot of you probably Lightroom. That's where I come from, is the Adobe products, Lightroom and Photoshop. I use Photoshop extensively for retouching up until now, where I haven't really gone into Photoshop lately because Evoto has kind of just taken over for me. So I'll talk to you about how I started out and how I integrated Lightroom and for doing my basic edits and using Evoto as my retoucher basically, and how to make that sort of the round trip, just like you would edit from Lightroom and bring it into Photoshop and bring it back. You can do that in Evoto as well. It's kind of the same process, a little bit different though. Also, for those that do a lot of volume edits and you send maybe a gallery to your customers and they pick their favorites, there's a way to integrate with Pixieset as well. It's the same as using Lightroom. You can get a Lightroom copy list of the user's favorites, and I'll show you how to plug that into Evoto so you can see what their favorites are. And we'll just drive around the interface a little bit. I'll show you some portraits that are outside location portraits and some portraits that are I do a lot of studio work. I live pretty much in the studio, especially in Texas when it's hot. You know, it's like 100 degrees out there, so I love that's when we go inside, right? But I do some outdoor stuff as well. I'll show you that. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you sort of the payoff here. I'm going to take this QR code down, okay, and show you sort of the payoff here. And this is a real world example because I was shooting with Felicia. She was actually the first person listed in my log of credits, right? Let's find the, so I'm going to go to the library. If you're used to using like Lightroom, there's always a library panel where you have all your shoots. I've probably got 100 over here on the left side that I've worked on, and that's not even all of them. I've transferred over from another computer at some point. So there's a ton of shoots that I've edited over here. I think I've used over 5,000 credits of my own money that I've put into this product. But let's start with Felicia because I was working on her stuff this weekend and she hit me up last night and was like, dude, I've got to print these out. I need my photos in a week. I need my gallery, right? So we'll start off there. These were shots that we did in studio. Felicia's a model that I've worked with, so it's funny you work with them long enough and they're modeling for you, and then they're having kids and they're like, can you do our, you know, my maternity shoot? And it's like, yeah. And then they have kids and they're like, can you photograph my kids? And I'm like, I guess it's not as exciting and glamorous, but okay. But anyway, so what I showed in the live stream is we were tethering straight into Evoto, and you can apply a preset while you're tethering and basically edit the shots as they're coming in. So I'll go over to the edit panel that's up at the top here where you pick that. I have my own presets. I'll go into that a little bit later, but we were just hitting this preset right here, one button, and we've just about edited it. I can hit this retouch preset that did the colors and the black and white. I can hit my retouch preset, and over here on the right side, this is your colors, like you're used to seeing, say, in Lightroom. Real similar, right? And then you have your retouching panel, and then you have your backdrop cleanup panel, your clothing panel where you can de-wrinkle and get lint. I'll show you that in a second. Crop, here's your tether panel, and then you've got a panel for watched folders for some automation, right? So in one click, I mean, we pretty much, she wants them in black and white, right? So we got that part down. Now, when I do the retouch, this was I just hit a preset that I made. It's mine. You go and you do the same thing enough, and you're like, oh, I'm going to create a preset for this, right? So I'm in the retouch panel here, and in the blemish removal, I go light. If you do a lot of editing, you know that usually when you pull a slider over to a 100, it's usually too much, right? With Evoto, you can generally do that, and you don't, like I still have skin texture on this. This is not a close-up headshot. You'll see more maybe in a headshot later, but it did a really good job of getting rid of the blemishes, but I like to go pull it over and then bring it back to a little bit because you will lose a little bit of detail, and some of these they're like little moles that she has. So in this case, maybe I'll just bring it all the way over, and you can see it. You do lose a tiny bit of detail when you bring it to 100. And if you want natural looking edits, you kind of want to avoid bringing this over to 100 all the time, right? Do it as much as you need it, not necessarily to 100. These edits are quantitative, and what I mean is they stack. So that's just the first edit as I'm going along here. Later on, I could come down here to the skin retouching and do a dodge and burn, right? And as I bring that up, it's a little less evident, right? On this black and white, I don't have a lot of shadows and highlights, but you add that one on, and then there's frequency separation that you can add on, and as you're adding all these on, it can look very, very edited. And so tread lightly, you know, be conservative, don't go overboard, okay? So I've got to zoom in. So here's something else I wanted to show you while I'm in here. There's a lint you can see here on her clothing. I can't tell you how many times people have worn black, and going in and doing lint removal is just like doing blemishes on the face, right? It's a pain. So they do have a clothing adjustment layer here, and there's a deblemish clothing. I call it the lint remover. And yeah, this one I bring over to 100, and boom, my lint is gone. I'll bring it back. We've got some lint, right? You can see, hopefully you can see that, and it's coming through. Volume is good. All right, thanks guys. I'm glad it is, because I'm going. So you can see, you know, some of the lint. I love that because, like I said, that takes as long as editing blemishes on the face, right? So that's a little extra that I did. Now take a look here while we're in the clothing panel. You see that right there? I can smooth out the edges. Watch the edges on her back, and boom. I can do that too. And if she had wrinkles, she doesn't really have any that I want to remove. This looks natural. We can de-wrinkle clothing as well. There's really nothing here that I want to de-wrinkle. But really, this is how I start off. I'll get the first shot in the set the way that I want it. I can usually use they have plenty of presets in here that you can play with. Color and retouching. Color means like your basic editing for exposure, contrast, saturation, those things, right? That's your color adjustments. And then your portrait retouching adjustments, those are the fancy AI stuff, right? So we're done with this. If I wasn't running my mouth for a while, I would have finished this in 30 seconds, pretty much, okay? Now here is why we're here. Why I'm here is not just for those, but we have other shots over here. If you edit and have done this kind of stuff in Photoshop, you know you couldn't do this in less than a minute. Now, I could have done this in like 30 seconds. You know that on the before, you got to go and you got to content aware fill the sides, right? There's some dirt on the floor, and actually we have, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a footprint right there. If I had a lot of footprints, there's a backdrop refinement. This distractions removal is what cleaned up the sides, but I can do a clean backdrop and that footprint will disappear. If I had a bunch of them, it just cleans it up. That was the other game changer for me. I can't tell you how many times I've shot on white paper and, you know, there's footprints on it, and I got to retouch those just like blemishes, no more, right? So I've done this on the first shot, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 other ones here that I want to fix and do the same thing to. Here's where the magic is if I was doing this in Photoshop, I would do, you know, content aware fill, I would do some touch up, I would get some blemishes, I would get blemishes on the face, and it might take me, you know, 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes maybe to do it. Some people are faster, some people are slower. I'm pretty fast at it. And and then, you know, you got to come in and you got to fix the edges of the clothing, all that stuff, right? 5 to 10 minutes, and then you got to go to the next shot, and maybe you can copy some layers over, maybe you can't, but you got to do the manual blemish removal over here. On this one, I got to fix the sides again, and I got to do that for every one of them. Pretty soon, it's taken me 30 minutes to an hour just to do, you know, 4 or 5 shots, whereas now I've done this first shot and I can select all of these. I held the shift button down. It's like the first one, held shift, and then selected the last one to select them all. And now I can go down here in the bottom right. I can hit sync. And just like if you use Lightroom, it will tell you, hey, what do you want to sync, and give you specifics, and you can drill down right into what do you want to sync. I'm going to sync everything. And it takes a minute, yeah. You look down here at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that it's working on them. I can go get a drink or whatever. If I had 100 of these, it's going to go do them. And so now I'll go to this other one. It's done. I'll go to this one over here. It's done. We'll do this one. Waiting for it. It's done. We'll do. It's doing a lot of stuff. Okay, it's done. Like it's cleaned the floor. It's cleaned the sides. It deblemished the clothing. It deblemished the skin. It removed. It did some dodge and burn. I mean, it did everything right. So that's what it's thinking about when it's syncing them. So give it a minute, yeah. And I mean, I'm done. Like again, I'm running my mouth, and it took me a little bit longer, but that would have taken me a couple minutes, and I've just edited. If I had, 100 of them, it just does it for me. So that's the payoff. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm using this thing. Let's go to another one. I'll show you the payoff again. Same shoot. If you have to do this in Photoshop, you could crop in a little bit first, right, to get rid of some of these sides, but you got to make a selection here around this fabric, right, and you're going to have to do some content aware fill, maybe some Gen AI, and you're going to have to do some cleanup. Like I usually end up using a paintbrush on like 15% and getting the color of the background and kind of filling in spots in Photoshop. And I do it on one, and then I got to do it on another one and another one. And to do shots like these, 5 of these would probably take me, this one is not as complicated, but these would probably take me, I don't know, 20 minutes a shot. So let's just hit my button, and this is another one. It does the combo. It's gonna do the color, and it's gonna do the retouch. Need I say more? Like it just did it for me. Like I'm done. So I'm gonna sync that. I'm gonna select these other ones, and I'm gonna hit this sync button down here, and sync it up. If you don't like that box coming up every time, there's an option for that. But I like it coming up because sometimes I change my mind about what I want to sync. Right. And stick around because I'll tell you about some of the options in the settings that are very important. That's one of them that you're going to want to set. Again, I'll talk about how we integrate with Lightroom, how we do the exports, how we integrate with, say, something like Pixieset where people are picking their favorites. How do I find their favorites then in Evoto? So boom, done. Done, man. Look at that. Just checking my comments here. So that's the big payoff, and I just wanted to get that out of the way real quick just to show you what this thing can do. There's the before. There's the after. I'm good. I can send this over to her. I'm pretty happy with that. Like that's amazing to me. I've got, we go back to the library. Remember, you have a library and edit. Go back to the library. These are all the shoots I've worked on. I brought a bunch of shots in here that some are outside, some are inside, or I can show you some things that I've done just to show you that it's not all studio shots, it's outside shots too. This one, I don't know why, I think I edited this already a little bit, yeah. She's darn near perfect already, so I don't know, this one there's not a lot to show you, but another real world example was I was doing with Narissa, and if you guys watch any of my videos, I've been working with her a lot lately. We did this for a brand out of Houston. I know we have Carla is from Houston. Thanks for joining, Carla. It's called Lux Swim, a small swimwear brand. Like I'm not balling with Andy Baggas or, I'm not trying to say, a small brand. You got to start somewhere, right? But notice, and I picked several shots. We did like 7 outfits that day, by the way. I was exhausted. That one I really didn't need to pay. I just thought it was a cool shot. But notice she's got this tattoo. I did pretty much all the edits, and the brand came back and said, is there any way? They picked 40 shots that they wanted to use for their webpage. And they came back after I did the edits and that they picked. So can you remove her tattoo? I was like, thank God. You know what? I think I can actually. I mean, I could do it anyway with Photoshop, but if I'm using Photoshop, I'm thinking remove the tattoo on 40 shots. Okay, you see this is going to be, we're going to be doing a little bit of work in Photoshop doing some of this, because you see inside that ring, that's going to be kind of difficult, and we're going to be doing some retouching, and we're going to have to do it on every single shot in Photoshop. Well, I knew, at that time I'm using Evoto. I knew that I could use, the healing tool, but that's not it. They've got over here in their panel, in their blemish, I think it's in the blemish removal. I need to search Evoto for, there's so many options here of things that you can fix. Like marionette lines, I was like, what even is a marionette line? I think it's this line right here. 11 lines, I was like, 11 lines. Okay, that's the 2 lines you get right there. I mean, they kind of thought of everything, but here it is right here, tattoos, right? And I don't think this is just, I'm using a beta version. I think this is in the full version. They may just be refining it, but I can hit that right there and boom, that tattoo is gone, right? And then right here, it got a little bit in there. So I may have to, I think I can come in here and there's a mask, so you can fine tune this stuff, and I can add sort of this area here to the mask because it kind of missed it a little bit, right? So let's do that. So you can fine tune what it does on certain shots, right? So it did it, right? So it got it. So I can go in and kind of take that. She's got a tattoo on this one, and this one, right? And that one. So I'm going to sync to all of those except for this one, right? I'm going to sync that change to all of them. I think I just synced all the edits. So these were all shot at different times under different light, but the object here is to show you that the tattoo is gone. Tattoo here is gone. You see it was up there. Tattoo here is gone. See, it was right there. Tattoo here is gone. It was right there. So I was able to go through and do that, and I did choose to sync all the edits. The lighting was different on all of these, so what you would do is choose in the little box when you sync them to just sync the portrait edits, right? And you could avoid from changing your color edits, like the equivalent of this stuff. You can turn that off when you sync, right? So another like real world example of where just cool stuff, right? That it can remove tab. That would have taken me on 40 shots a while. That would have taken me, I don't know how long that would, a couple hours at least, 40 shots. That would have taken me 2-3 hours. So just, that's the time saver. People like to complain a little bit about the credit system. It's kind of new. Most of the AI stuff is doing it now. Like even Adobe's doing it for their Gen AI. They're going to start charging. When you get past a certain amount, you got to start paying for every AI edit that you do in Adobe, right? In Photoshop. That's a good example. I use Filmora, Wondershare Filmora for my video editing. They have a lot of AI integration and AI edits that you can do. You can turn your photos into videos and do all kinds of stuff. They have tons of AI features in there, and they charge, you get a certain amount, and then they start charging you every time you use an AI feature. Okay, so Evoto is doing the same thing. They're charging per edit. So every time you edit a shot and export it out, you are basically charged a credit. They only amount to like 7 cents, 0.07 US dollars, okay, per credit, depending on which package of credits you buy. They tend to last me a good while. I bought the 1600 package, and I do stuff like this. My stuff, I have 40 on this one, right? And then I'll do other stuff. It's like 20 here, 10 there. If you're doing large volume, you really shouldn't be paying for it out of your pocket anyway. If you're a pro or a semi-pro photographer, you're going to probably want to include that in your billing as part of your package. I've seen, invoicing, if they want 1,000 edits, so maybe you invoice them for how much 1,000 credits would be, right? And you invoice that as software, right? So that's one way to do it. Or you can include it in your package. If you offer 10 shots in your package and each additional shot is, $5 or $20 or whatever you charge, there's going to be, you build that fee for credits into that so that you're not paying out of your pocket for credits. That's really how you should be doing it. If you're not a pro, and I would venture to say that most people who own cameras are not pros, right? And a lot of people that like to take portraits, they don't do it for money. They just do it. They're hobbyists, right? And I'll bet you there's more hobbyists in the world than there are people who take money to do it. I'm almost certain of that, right? And so it's up to you whether this is of value to you, right? Based on the volume that you do. That's going to be your decision on whether you find the features that this have as valuable to you. Okay, I'm going to pop up the QR code again for the 50 credits. Use that QR code. Use my code, the GKP25. The link is in the bio. Use that QR code. That's going to get you 50 credits for new Evoto users. If you're an existing user, let me know, and we can arrange to get you those credits on the back end. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up for a minute here. While I'm thinking about that, let me show you about the the Lightroom integration. Okay, let's see, do I have Lightroom? Let's see if I can bring the Lightroom up into this. I'm going to bring Evoto down. I might need to add Lightroom into my, so I don't have it. So let me add give me just a second, guys. Let me add a window capture for Lightroom here into Streamlabs. I call this Lightroom. Stand by while you're getting that QR code. We'll do Lightroom as my source, and let's see if that's going to come up now. I can't tell if it brought it up or not. Let's see. It should bring up the window, but it's not bringing up the picture. Come on, Streamlabs. I think we have like a gray screen. Let me see if I can kick it. Give me just a sec. And I'm going to tell it to, I'll bet you this is it, to fit to window, fit to screen, still have a blank screen. Imagine, if you will, I'm picking these photos, and let's see if toggling through the photos will bring them up on the screen. This has nothing to do with Evoto, by the way. This is Streamlabs not picking up the window correctly. So I'm going to take the QR code off. In Lightroom, we really don't need the picture to show up here. What I want to show you is that in Evoto, we can, right now I'm in a window right here. I'll go into the library window. I'm in a project called Evoto September 4 Live. You can name your projects right when you create them. I can come here and I can create a new project if I want. I can do it from up here. I give it a name, right? So this one was just for today's live stream. So when I'm over, say in Lightroom, let's turn it back on, even though it's being janky on me. I'm going to turn off the QR code now, guys. Okay, grab it if you need it. So Lightroom is being janky and it's not showing me the photo, but when I am in Lightroom, I can come over here, and if you know and you do editing in Photoshop, I can say right click on down here at the bottom, and I can say edit in, and I can say edit in Photoshop. Here I'm going to do edit in Evoto. I've tried Aftershoot. You can see I've tried Aftershoot. I've tried Apperty. I used Portrait Pro for a good while there. I never upgraded it though. These are other ones that are not necessarily for portraits, but I can tell you I tried them all, and just not that they're bad, they're just not as a mature product as Evoto, and that's the truth. They just do not have the development cycle. Apparently they don't have all the features, they don't have all the options that Evoto does. Evoto, their development team is on, I mean, they're on steroids or something, because they are just like adding features left and right, and they have left all these people in the dust. Aftershoot is a culling software. They asked me to try it. I was like, I'm not even going to waste my time. They're probably great for culling. I tried it out and everything, and now they're adding AI editing, and it's kind of like an afterthought. Like, you should have stuck with culling, right? It's just, it's not there, guys. Just, I would, don't waste your time. So edit in Evoto, and I'm going to edit with a copy of Lightroom adjustments, because this is how I pretty much worked up until, I still do it a little bit, but I'm pretty much in Evoto now, because they have all these features of Lightroom that I use anyway. They don't have all of them, but the ones that I use. So I'm just going to say, this is how I was doing it. I have one shot, and I want to say, let's retouch this in Evoto. I right-clicked on it. I chose Edit in Evoto, Edit with a copy of Lightroom adjustments, right? And it's going to come over to Evoto, and let me turn off my Lightroom screen now. And it's going to prompt me here. You don't see the prompt, but it's asking me if I want to create a new project or import into this existing project here. And I'm just going to say import into this project, and it's going to bring it right in on the end here. You see all the shots down here in the loop. It's right down here on the end. And then, I mean, she's kind of perfect already. There's not a lot of retouching I have to do, but you could zoom in, and I could go to the edit tab here, and I could just do my basic retouch, which is going to do just a light retouch on her. I might want to come over here, and maybe I do, let's see, 30 is on my freckle and acne. Maybe I bring it up a tiny bit more, but that's pretty much it. I don't really need to do much else to her. You do have features to reduce face shine. I like the highlights on her face the way they are, pretty much. But if I wanted to, I could bring the face shine down, and it's going to flatten things out a little bit. I like the contour. This is for when you get that way blown out shine, on the face, where you would use that for. I typically use, a lot of ladies will have bags under the eyes and dark circles. Those are the ones I typically use. That's what's in my preset. I keep them conservative, again, at 30, between 30 and 50, right? If I turn them down, I don't think she had any bags either. You turn this stuff way up, and it just doesn't look natural, so go conservative, guys, on some of these. If they have a little line right here under the eyes, that's natural, right? It looks, I kind of like to leave a little line there. If it's a bag, then I'll do something about it, right? But I mean, other than that, there's not a lot I need to do to that edit, okay? But if I go back to Lightroom, and let me bring that up again, I'm going to go to, and again, I'm sorry it's not bringing up the picture. That's a Streamlabs issue I'll have to fix for next time. But I'll go down in the library on the left, and you can see I do a lot of shoots. This is just from 2025. Go down to, say, the model agency. I actually helped start up a model agency here in San Antonio, a small agency, but I was integral, I would like to think, in getting it off the ground and being their initial photographer. I did a lot of comp cards, a lot of digitals, comp cards, and a lot of portfolio shots, okay? But one of them was Grace. You can see here, I don't know if you can see here, but you can see it says Grace Portfolio Evoto. Those are the edits that I brought back in from Evoto. So if I want to, let's see, I'm going to just do some picks here. Do just the yellow ones here, yeah. So these are ones that I like. I'm looking at the bottom down here. You can see these ones highlighted in yellow. If I wanted to edit all these in Lightroom, do my basic edits, I can. And then I can select them all by holding down the shift, selecting the first and the last, right? right click and I choose edit in Evoto. Okay. And what it should do, I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to turn off Lightroom, and what it should do is in Evoto, okay, it's thinking about it still in Lightroom, so give it a second. What it should do is ask me, hey, do you want to import all these into this session that you have open right here that you're editing? And maybe I don't, right? Maybe I want to. It's smart enough to know. Hopefully, we'll see that I should probably create a new project in the library for Grace. So let me go back to Lightroom and look at those. Oh, I need to tell it to edit with a copy of Lightroom adjustments. So when it does that, if your setting in Lightroom is to edit TIFF file, create a TIFF file, it'll either do a TIFF or a PSD. It's going to open as I do TIFF, so it opens as a TIFF in Evoto. And so now I'm just waiting on Lightroom too. Maybe I shouldn't have done like 40 of them. Maybe I should have done like 10. Because it's going in and it's creating the TIFF in Lightroom, and then it's going to open them, hopefully, in Evoto, right? Let me check the chat here while we're waiting. Yeah, Patrick, it was just saying he's just started using it a couple weeks ago, and it cut his editing time down by 80% at least. So I would agree with that. Venetia, I don't know how to, hopefully I'm not butchering your name, but yeah, you're an Evoto user already. You can use that QR code that I popped up. Let me know. My email is in my bio on YouTube. Send me an email with your information, your email. I guess I'll have it if you send it to me, but and we can get you the 50 credits on the back end if you want 50 free credits, okay? Carla, same for you. Says you started using it this week. Email me. I'll make sure to get it over to the team at Evoto. Now, understand this thing in Lightroom is still going. I hear some, here we go. So I don't think you guys can see this because the dialog box is coming up, but it's asking me, do you want to import this into the current project, which was just these shots that you see down here? And maybe I don't want to do that. I'm going to say no, I want to create a new project, and I'm going to hit create. Again, you probably didn't see that dialog box, but now it's bringing all these shots into Evoto. I'll put up that QR code for new users again briefly. Again, the reason I don't leave it up is one, because it's kind of in the middle of the screen, and two, some people were trying to game it, doing some shady stuff with it when I left it up the whole time last time. So there it is. Grab it real quick while you can. I'll give you another minute or two to do that. Let me just move it kind of over here. Hopefully you weren't trying to grab that QR code while I'm doing this, right? Is that helping? All right. So it basically opened this in a new project, okay? So I can rename this project. It can't read my mind. The AI is not that good that it can read my mind. So I'm going to call this Grace. I just right clicked, and I've already done this before. I'll call this Evoto demo, right? I've already worked on some of her shots before. So again, I've been using this for 2 years. I've got probably over 100 shoots over here that I've edited in Evoto. Earlier in the video, I proved to you, because Evoto will give you under your profile here, if you go, it'll tell you how many credits you've used and when you use them. Earlier in the video, if you want to rewind back, it showed you I've been using credits since 2023. I've used 5,000 credits out of my own money. That gives me, why do I tell you this? That gives me credibility, right? That what I'm telling you, they're not just paying me to tell you this once. This is a sponsored video, right? But I've been using it for 2 years, and maybe I earned it a little bit, you know? And I've continued to use it. So you're getting something, oh, they didn't just, I wonder when I watch people, oh, did they just pay this guy to say this, or this girl to say this? Did they really use this? Like, are they really going to use this, or are they just getting paid, right? I really use it, okay? And once you start using it, if you do a lot of volume, especially, it's a no-brainer, guys. So it just brought the shots in here into a new session, and so you can do that. What I like to do when I export the shots, and this time I'm going to pick, say I edited these, I'm not going to edit any, because then I'll be using credits, right? That's the thing. I can come up here, make sure you're in the edit panel, and you have the export up here at the top, right? When I go to that window, say I've edited, done all my AI edits that I want to do on these, it tells you at the top that I'm exporting 9 shots, but 9 of them are unedited, and I'm not going to take a credit hit. Why is that important? Well, if I want to export proofs to people, I do that from, you can do that obviously from Lightroom, but if you're at 100% in Evoto and you're not using Lightroom and you want to export like a bunch of proofs out to people, the way to do that is don't edit them. As soon as you touch a slider, you're paying a credit. Don't edit them. This is where it counts to get your shots good in camera, right? And then you can do JPEG. For proofs, I'll come down here. I'll do the JPEG full size. You could do this web, I guess. And I'll put them in a folder down here. And I named it Evoto because I like to separate them out. So it's going to put them in a subfolder under the folder where your raw files are, where you imported them in from, right? That's kind of how they don't get intermingled with the raw, right? And I can export them out, and here's where, like for proofs, you don't want full-size JPEGs, right? So you might want to bring the percentage down to like 20%, or you can limit the size. I'm doing percentage. You can do width, height, dimensions, whatever you want to do, right? And then you hit export, and it exports them out. I'm trying to remember where this is going to go. I'll have to find them. I think it's going to go, let me bring up Lightroom again. Give me just a sec, guys. I'm going to turn on my Lightroom window. So let me bring up Lightroom again. I'm going to turn off the QR code. Okay, hopefully you got it. And I'm going to turn on Lightroom. So here I am again. You're not going to see the picture because I don't know where Streamlabs is acting weird. But in Lightroom, what I can do is, it's probably very small. You might have to get your magnifying glass here, but there is, I can either right click and sync that, choose synchronize folder, and it's going to bring in that Evoto folder for me. I already have it in this case. Actually, let me sync it because I think it's going to be a different folder this time. So 15, that's the new ones that it did. I think it's going to create another folder under here called Evoto. So it's going to bring them in. You're not going to see them for whatever reason. I'm getting a blank window there. But on the left panel here, again, apologies if you don't see them all the shots. On the left panel here, let me find them. It moved things around on me. So here it is right here. It says Grace, and then right there is Evoto, right? And it brought the shots in, okay? So it brought those 9 shots in, and now I have them back in. I've done the round trip back to Lightroom. So that's how you do it in Lightroom, okay? Pretty easy. Now, for Pixieset users, let me turn off my Lightroom and bring up, my web page. See if you guys can see that. For Pixieset users, so here's Felicia. Let me see if this is coming up. Yeah, so you guys should be seeing this. This is not a Pixieset tutorial, but there's a lot of photographers out there that use Pixieset, and what it is it's a online app. It's not really an app, but you can use it to basically import all of your proofs in. You create galleries with it. It links up with your client. You send your client the link, and they can go in, and from the proofs that you created for them, like here's a proofs gallery for Felicia, we did some of her shots earlier, right? She's gonna pick, like I think she's doing 20 and then doing 20 extra that she's paying for. So there's a favorites list for her up here that she's created, and so I sent her the link. She got the gallery. She's looking at all the shots, going, "Ooh, I love this one. I love this one," and she picks her favorites and adds them to a favorites list in Pixieset. That's at pixieset.com, right? I've got a link in the description to that. I'm trying to get an affiliate with them, but for now it's like a $20 off code. But she's gone in and she's picked these favorites, and what you could do is look at these favorites over here, and it's going to bring up a window, and you're able to export her list to a what's called a Lightroom copy list. And I don't know if that's going to come up on the screen, but it basically makes a comma delimited list, right, that you can copy. And I'm sorry you're not getting the visual of that. I'll have to work on that on my Streamlabs, but it makes a visual, okay? And then what I can do is go back to her session. Where was her session? It was here, and here's where your culling is. Now we are in the library mode. You have all these same features, right? Just like you would see in maybe the catalog editor that you're used to using. I can star them, I can color them, I can flag them, I can filter them by whether they've been edited or not. So when I'm exporting, if I want to make sure I'm editing the right ones, or I'm just working on unedited ones, I can filter by whether they've been exported already so I don't accidentally export them again. Filter by format. What are they? TIFF, JPEG, file orientation, portrait, landscape, square. I can filter by file name, and this is an important one if you're looking for a search and you're trying to find that one file name or a comma delimited list. Use contains. I can paste that list in here. I'm going to do a. Now you see these. I got that list from Pixieset, and it has them all in there, right? And now I can basically say contains that list, and it's going to bring those favorites up. And now I can say, okay, well, all of these are. I can select them all, and I can flag them, and say, okay, all of those are flagged, right? I'm going to turn the filters off, and now I just want to see. I think I hit the wrong one, but I can flag the ones that I want to see. Let me go back to the search. Kind of messed that up. Go in there. Okay, there they are. Those are the ones that she wants. Okay. And then however you want to do it, you can flag them, you can star them, however you want to do this, you can rate them. There is a grid view as well. You can see the metadata just like you can, the basic information, the EXIF exposure. So all that stuff is there. So I have her favorites in here, and I know which ones she wants me, to go in and edit, which ones she likes, okay? And some I've already done. I liked this one. I knew she was going to pick this one because I like the way the legs are posed better than this one. But anyway, so that is the integration with Pixieset Client Gallery. It's very specific, but I know there's a lot of portrait photographers out there that use that. So, I mean, let's just go back to, lost my screen over here. Let me look at the comments here. Yanet loves Evoto. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate all of you watching, by the way. I have a pretty small YouTube account. I'm approaching 5,000 subscribers, but I'm not out there balling with 50,000 subscribers or anything. So, All right, very good. I don't see any other comments. Vanessa said something and then she took it back. She's probably talking about me. If you have a question, I keep saying Vanessa, but I think it's Venecia or Venacia. Put it in there. All right. So let's go to, I'm in the library mode, right? Let's go back to some of these, and I'm pretty much, let me look at my queue list here, make sure we're going to drive the interface. I think we've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. There's just stuff like this. This one's edited. There's the before and there's the after. One thing here's a little tip. I'm going to go to the edit panel, and sometimes when you want to see before and after and you've kind of underexposed the image and you get to the before, it goes down. It's hard to see the retouching edits that you made because the exposure goes down because I didn't, I underexposed it a little bit. It happens, right? So what you can do in that case is go to the color panel, which is the palette up here, right? And turn on and off real-time color adjustments, and that will allow you to preview just the before and after portrait retouching, but it won't mess with the exposure. So turn that on, and you can see we've got hair that we fixed, bags under the eyes. I'm going to turn that off. Now I can see the retouching edits that I did. A little trick to see that it helps me see the before and after of the retouching, as opposed to the space bar is the before and after is what I hit, or this little thing right down here in the bottom corner next to where it says dehaze. You can hit that too. That's before. Space bar will do it too. It brings the exposure down. It's harder for me to kind of see what the retouching is doing. So come up here and hit this real-time color adjustments. That's not really what it's for. What it's for is when you're moving in this color panel and you're moving around some of these sliders you see in the bottom left, sometimes when this is off, it's got to think about it, because it's doing this contrast right here that I just set, but it's also recalculating all the retouching stuff, and the sliders feel sluggish. So if you're experiencing that, you want to turn this on while you're in the color panel, and that's going to remove your retouching portrait edits and just allow you to quickly do your color edits without there being a drag, right? So turn that on to get rid of the drag, and then when I'm done, I just turn it back off, right? And it takes me back to the retouching. So real light edit again. Like, I don't mind little minor imperfections. I could have probably in the retouching panel brought the freckles and acne over a little bit more. You see, here's where I'm going to show you. We're retaining pores, right? But I'm not going too far. I'm leaving little lines here, but I do have, if I bring this all the way over, the freckle and acne, all the way over to 100, yeah, it's going to do something. But you can see it smooths out the pores a little bit. And so just use it as much as you need it. Don't always bring it over to 100. It's going to give you a more realistic edit. I brought it over to 59, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm pixel peeping, right? I'm pretty happy with that. Same with the eye bags, dark circles, 30 to 50. If there's like a little bit of a line under there, to me that looks natural. If you bring them all the way over and all the way over, and you bring this all the way over, and then you do the dodge and burn down below all the way over, you get a real plastic. You start to get that edited look, and you don't want your photo to look edited. And I'm guilty of making edited photos. I got them all over my Instagram. I'm trying to dial all that back now. This looks pretty good though, but as you zoom out, it still looks good. It looks a little bit smooth, but I would bring the dark circles down and the eye bags down a little bit, right? And it does make a difference, right? This doesn't look bad, right? So anyway, I'll quickly go in and here's one. I totally mangled this in camera. Like, I'm not embarrassed. I mean, this is just, if you say you've never done this before, you're lying. I totally underexposed this shot, and it was a cool shot, but thank God for RAW, right? I can just hit one button, and pretty much I'm in the ballpark of where I want to be. I fixed the white balance, which was way too warm. It's still a little bit underexposed, so I can come over here. I'm going to do real-time color adjustments to turn off my AI effects right while I do this, and usually I'm just going to bring up the highlights, maybe bring up the shadows, maybe do a lift of the exposure like that. Just get it in the ballpark. It's still to the left looking at my histogram, but I'll bring the highlights a little bit. I like to kind of have that contrast just like this, and I'm sort of in the ballpark there. bring the exposure up maybe just a little bit more, and that's good. And then I'm going to turn that off, and that brings the retouching effects back. And then I'm going to go, I haven't even gone over here yet. I'm going to do an auto AI correct. So that's not going to do really what I want to. I'm going to maybe reset that. And really what I want to do, I'll do the Instagram crop 4x5. And this is the shot that really I posted on Instagram, was this crop somewhere in there, right? And then I've got this shot, and it comes out pretty good. And here's the thing. Let me go to the real-time adjustments. So there's the before, right, with the acne. There's with the real. So I'd probably want to come over here and get that a little bit more with the blemish removal. This one I might want to bring way over, and you can see I still went to 85. I didn't go all the way, and that looks pretty good, right? So I've cleaned up the blemishes. That would have taken me forever in Photoshop, right? So done, right? Pretty quick edit. Here's another one, an example of, I put this in here specifically as an example of how well is it going to do distractions for me. And I'll come to the background tab, and I'm just going to hit this distractions removal. And it did most of them, right? I'm going to hit the space bar. It took out most of them, but in this case, why didn't it do that? Let me check the, yeah, so it should have done it, and it didn't. And so here's one of those cases where you're kind of like, and I knew this was going to do this. I put this in here for a reason. So there's some advanced editing that you can do. I've got a spot healing brush, I've got a patch tool, and I've got a clone stamp, and they work just like they do in Photoshop. Hint, hint. You can adjust the parameters of them. And so maybe I might come in here. Now, Evoto, I said I put out a short today saying I'm almost out of Lightroom and Photoshop. I've been using Evoto full time. There's still a couple things that I need. I need to be able to make a selection of the subject and then invert that selection so that just the background is selected, so that when I'm doing these edits, I'm not bleeding into the subject. I need a subject selection while I'm in this healing stuff, right? To isolate the subject from my edits is what I need, right? The other thing is I need a crop expand. And it doesn't have to be a Gen AI crop expand like I might want to do on a shot like this. I don't need that. But for studio portraits, you know, sometimes I want to, I got in a little bit too close in the feet maybe, or, you know, to give you an example of what I mean, you like the shot out of the camera was maybe like this, you know, something like that. And I need maybe, you know, I got the feet too close and I want to expand that crop and fill in the sides with a plain background. I would like to be able to do that. So a couple things for Evoto that I would like to be able to do. And I'll bet you they'll do it. They have a rapid development environment. I feel like they are on it. Where was I? What was I editing? I lost my train of thought. I was on this one. And then what did I decide to do? Oh, I was removing these, right? So we're going to have to go in on this one as an example. And I'll use my, I use a pen and tablet. And we can still do that here. If that's what we want to do, you can use your mouse. But let's see if this is going to work. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to come in here, pen and tablet. I'm sort of at an angle that I'm not used to on this. And see, this is not cutting it. I think because I got too close to her pants. So let's do a little bit at a time. So let's grab this. This is kind of like the remove tool. And see, we're not like, still a little bit to be desired when you get here. When you're doing, this is manual editing, really, and there's a little bit to be desired here. I could use, I'm doing a little bit of manual work that I don't really want to be doing. So maybe I send them this photo and I go, hey, what happened here, right? I can hit the space bar and drag the canvas just like Photoshop. That's kind of cool. So maybe I go in here and try to clean these up. And so this is a little manual work, right, that I'm having to do. And then I can clean up the backdrop. But just an example of these other tools that you can use. I can get in here and zoom in and it's doable, right? I have like the patch tool right here. It works just like Photoshop. I can come over here and drag that up if I want to, you know, whoops, clean some of this stuff up. With the patch tool, I can do that. It works the same way, right? So I can get in here and kind of clean some of this up. Again, a subject selection tool to invert that selection so my edits aren't bleeding into the subject. That would be nice, right? Let me recenter this. Unless you're pixel peeping, though, I might want to get that part on the pants right there. You're not going to know. So you do have the capabilities, is what I'm saying, if it doesn't do everything for you. Okay. So a little extra work there. Here's another thing. I don't want to have to hit OK after I did all this stuff. I'm used to it just doing it, and I left out a little spot right there, but I have to hit OK. Evoto, I don't want to have to hit OK. Just commit the change as I'm doing it when I'm using the healing tool. Okay. It's kind of an annoyance for me. I'm using that tool a lot, by the way. For example, some of you may have seen this shot, and I've got my, anytime you do edits, by the way, you can come down here, and if you're doing the same edits over and over, most of us have an editing style, and we kind of do the same, close to the same thing. Save that as a preset right here. You can come over here, you give it a name, right? You can create a group. So I've got all my presets over here under Gregory K. There's obviously presets of theirs that you can use, but I have like just a basic color adjust. It's just going to bring a little lift. I tend to shoot a little underexposed. It also will do in the color panel here, love playing around in this parametric curves, which are these right here. Very powerful. I went a little too much. You know, it's not a one size fits all, but it's my basic edit that gets me there, especially for studio shots. It gets me close to what I like to do, and then I can sync it, right? You know, highlights are a little hot there. But what I wanted to show you, so I've got basically, she's kind of perfect. I don't have to do too many edits on her either, but maybe I come over here and I crop this in a little bit. I'm going to show you, hopefully it works this time because it worked like a charm last time. I'm going to commit that. And there's a little bit of work here, but let me go to this tool again, the healing tool. Let's see, what am I on? Oh, I'm on the patch tool. So let me go to this right here, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do this right here. And this is where I need a selection tool again, Evoto, so that I can select the subject. Let's see if this works. It worked before, probably won't work now, but look at that. I went a little bit too far. You see what it's doing there? That's just the spot healing, so maybe I don't go all the way down. I can extend the canvas manually if I want to, right? And maybe I make this thing a little bit smaller. So there's a little bit of manual stuff that I can do there, right? And then I can use the clone stamp tool if I want to, and come over here and do some manual clone stamping to get this over. So we're back to, if we have to, and we do need to get rid of, we decide we want to get rid of Photoshop, we do have these Photoshop-like features that we can come in and do. Again, I need a selection. I need to be able to select her foot, her leg or her foot, and then select the reverse of that so that when I come in here, it doesn't bleed in, my edit doesn't bleed into the foot. That is what I would say, and I have my hardness a little bit too low. Opacity maybe a little bit too low, so I come over here and, you know, I can come down here and do these edits, right? So I'm not going to go through and do all that, but I did that edit with her, and I think I posted that shot, and I did it all in Evoto. So you can do Photoshop-like stuff in Evoto. What's my running time here? Let me see. We're running pretty long, but how do you zoom out to show the whole screen from the keyboard? Okay, I'm doing, I think it was Control, it's in the menu, it's Control Shift 1. go to the menu and you go, let me zoom. I'm going to zoom. Say I zoomed way in, right? It's going to tell you right here's your clue up in the menu up here. I don't know if you can see the menu, if it'll pop up, but it will tell you zoom to 100% is Control-Alt-0. Fit to screen is Control-Alt-1. So that's what you want to do, Control-Alt-1. It's probably Command Option 1 in Mac. I'm not sure, but so fit on screen, Control-Alt-1. Let me zoom and get some water. And I'm losing my voice. So that's probably my cue to stop. Since I'm losing my voice, maybe we should go ahead and stop there. Control-Alt-1 will recenter on the screen just like that for you. I'm using just my mouse to zoom in. It's got a scroll wheel on it, you know. I use that to scroll in and out, right? Works pretty well. So, all right, guys. That's all I'm going to do today because I'm about to lose my voice. Just out of nowhere, it decided to leave me. If you have any questions, I'm going to pop up the QR code. If you want to get the 50 free credits, use the QR code. Use the link in the description. Use my discount code GKP25. And if you are an existing Evoto user, that QR is probably not going to work. Send an email to me, gregorykphoto@gmail.com. That email is in my YouTube bio. And I've talked to Evoto, and they said, you know, if somebody sends me, for existing users, we'll get you those credits on the back end. Okay. So I hope this live stream helped you guys out a lot. Let me see if there is a way, Denise, to import Lightroom catalogs. Okay. Let me check something here. From the, oops, I gotta hit OK. From the library view, there's a way to, like I said, import. I don't see it in here now, but import your Lightroom catalogs if you want to do that. I didn't really want to do that. That's a good question. I'll look that up for you and see if I can get an answer, and I'll post something here on that. I can't remember if there's a way to do Lightroom presets. There may be. I know you can import your catalogs though. So good question. You stumped me there. Let's see if there are any more. The whole image, not the screen. Yep, got that. All right, guys. I use dodge and burn, and another where I mask where I want to dodge or burn is if so the dodge and burn. That's a good question. It doesn't. I'll just be honest. The dodge and burn doesn't work like I used it in Photoshop. In Photoshop, I create curves layers with masks, right? And I'll bump up for the dodge, I'll use one curve layer, and for the burn, I'll use another curve layer. That's probably what you're used to, Nick, if you do it in Photoshop, but I know what you mean. And then I can basically paint on my dodging, paint on my burning. Maybe you use something else, but you don't get that. You get a slider basically, and you have some options. Well, let me go to the edit tab. You get a slider. I mean, you have some options with the dodge and burn under the skin retouching, and they call it even dodge and burn. It doesn't really, it will even out the transitions. It's sort of it's somewhere between dodge and burn and frequency separation, the way the dodge and burn works here. And I don't get that. Like, say I wanted to come dodge the highlights on her legs manually. I don't really, it doesn't do that like I'm used to doing it. Does that make sense? So that's kind of like, I would like to have a little more control there, but then we're getting into, we're losing automation there, right? But that's one of the things, especially if you do a lot of outdoor photography with models and things like that, you want the highlights on the skin to pop sometimes with that dodge and burn. That's what you would use it for. You would dodge maybe just on these highlight parts on the shoulder, on the arm right there, on the leg right there. And it's sort of like, to me, it works more like a frequency separation, to be honest with you. So it helps, but it's not the same thing, I don't think. So just being completely transparent, okay? All right, let me see if we got any more questions before my voice goes out again. Thought I was dying there for a second. Do I use digital backgrounds in Evoto? I have not, but you know what? I got to get a guy on. His name is, maybe Roger is watching. If you're watching, or if you watch this later, Roger Duran Photography, I'll give him a plug. He does high school football photography, and I'm talking about when they do the individual shots of the players. If you've ever watched John Gress do it, he does stuff similar to that, where they got smoke in the background and they got lights in the background, and it's very cool. For the football players, they do the same kind of stuff for bands and stuff like that, and he's able to transpose custom images on the back if he needs to. If we didn't, like I helped him one weekend, a couple weekends ago, just get some of the shots. So he actually, one of the reasons he got Evoto was because he was using having to edit 1,000 shots per session. You know, football teams are pretty big, right? Bands or high school orchestras or bands, marching bands are a lot of people in them, right? That's a lot of editing. Evoto changed his life. But he did say, yeah, he will go in and use some of the background replacement. It's in the background section, so you can go down to the backdrop changer, and you can load up your own backdrop in there. Max 10 megabytes each, so it looks like it can't be a huge file, but it does take a TIFF, JPEG, BMP. So give that a shot. Okay. See if I have any other questions before we go. Appreciate the engagement here, guys. The questions. Really cool. I'm glad I could answer almost all of them. One of you stumped me on the Lightroom presets. I'll look that up and see what I can find out about that. So, all right, that's going to conclude today's live stream. I'll leave it up for a little bit. I may do a condensed edited version of it and put it back out there. But for now, we'll leave the live stream up as it is. I hope the volume improved as we went along. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Evoto, for sponsoring. If you didn't get your QR code, let me know. Send me that email, and you guys have a good night, and thank you for watching.